Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my first ever biology lecture. Very exciting. Today we are going to do problem solving. It is because today is Wednesday, and that means it's problem solving day. Uh, also, okay, so these slides were low-key taken from Larry because, like, he did it before, but eventually I'll figure out how to make it Suzuko core. Um, this is a picture of a shark. Okay. So today we are going to start with a bit of introduction about me because um, I'm your teacher, I guess, and it might be helpful to know some things about me and like why you should listen to me and why I have credibility and stuff. So I'm Suzuko. In this picture, you can see that I'm like pointing at a bush and I'm like very shocked that it's a bush. I'm a high school senior from Los Angeles, California. I go to North Hollywood High School. I started studying biology in my freshman year. So, um, I guess like my point in mentioning this is that I think some people tend to feel like, oh, if I didn't start in middle school, like I'm kind of behind. But I kind of wanted to put this in to be like, it's never too late to start learning. Even if you're already in high school, even if you're a sophomore, junior, like you can't like Ajay said this a bit before in chat, but you can't control like what you've done in the past, but everything in the future is under your hands. So even if you feel like you're starting kind of late, that's not true. There, it is never too late. Uh, have qualified for the USABO camp in 2024 and 2026. So that's when I was a sophomore. And then this summer, I'm going to go to Harvard during the summer to do biocamp. And then in 2024, I qualified for the IBO team. So that was with like Jason and like some other people you might know. And then I got a gold medal. So I got fourth place. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Between 2024 and 2026, I attended RSI, which, if you know about it, uh, then I guess you already know about it. If you don't, it's like a research thing, summer program. Um, that's what I did the summer after junior year. Also, I didn't make camp that year, but like it was okay because I did this instead. And then I am also a science bowl addict, although like Nats was this past weekend and it is over now, so I think I'm kind of retired, which is sad because now I don't know what I'm gonna do with my free time anymore. Uh, and then I am also wow, this guy just said science bowl is mid. That's so mean. Sorry, I got distracted by all of these messages. Why is this guy such a hater? Uh, okay. Oops. And then I will be attending MIT this fall. So I'm not sure what I'll study yet, but it'll probably be like bio or bioengineering or something like this, but we'll see. I did commit MIT. Science Bowl is tough. Can we mute these kids? I did see Yale from Clemens. Hi, Gavin. Okay. So let's talk about what how this class is structured. So today our agenda is a bit different than what it'll be usually. First of all, I'm going to introduce what mudslips are. As it says, I'll go over this on the next slide, and then after that, we'll go over some problems, and that'll be closer to what the structure of a usual class is. Uh, yeah, so answer via Zoom poll, timed, and then et cetera, et cetera. So, what is a mudslip? I did not know what this is until like a week ago, but this is shamelessly copied from Larry, who shamelessly copied it from an MIT class. Basically, the idea is it's a way for students to give feedback to the instructor, who is me. Um, like Wow. Okay, I'm gonna close chat. This is like really distracting. So at the end of today's presentation, there's gonna be a Google Doc and it's gonna ask you to write down like one thing that confused you or any comments you have. So as you're listening to my class, you should be like, this is a thing I like, or this is a thing that was confusing or I don't like, or I don't know, any comments you have, like please keep those in mind so that I can make the class better, especially because this is like my first time teaching, so I don't really know what exactly works yet, and I hope that we can figure that out together. Okay, so next I want to talk about the importance of this class. Um, like this class is called problem solving, and you might wonder like, why is it important to learn problem solving? Why don't you just mem everything? Like, isn't biology all mem anyways? And to that I say no. I think at the end of the day, USABO is problem solving. Like there are lots of people who are very good at just shoving tons of facts into their brain. But I think first of all, like this isn't actually very fun. I think it's more interesting to kind of understand fully how things work. And by understanding fully how things work, you're better able to apply them to situations that you maybe haven't seen before, or to problems where you don't immediately know the answer, but you're able to apply these concepts that you've learned to figure out like what the correct answer is. So, um, like the goals of this class is that we're going to learn how to apply the stuff that you learn in other lectures. So, for example, like Kevin's main lecture, or I guess I don't really know what level one takes, but like of the other lectures to solve problems, we're going to learn how to think biologically. We're going to learn how to go through problems faster. So, USABO isn't only about like just knowledge, it's also kind of a test of time management, especially on the semifinal exam. So, if you can save time in going through a problem or like you know, like figuring out what problems to skip, what problems maybe you should like just do one cursory read through of and then like move on. That is one goal. And then I added this bullet point is that our goal is to learn intuition, and intuition is kind of hard to quantify, but I would say it's like being able to look at a problem and not necessarily fully understanding it, but having kind of a vibe where like, I think it's this answer, or I think this answer choice is true, and I can't fully explain it, but I think it's true. And then for people who have really good intuition, like it'll usually be true, even if they're not completely sure. Um, so those are our goals in this course. And like tying this back to the USABO meta, which I think Kevin talked about this Sunday or Saturday. Saturday. No, Sunday. No, Saturday. Like the USABO meta has been shifting away from rote memorization, so just like regurgitating facts, and more towards being able to apply these concepts in and solve problems. And like it says here, a lot of the memorization questions have already been asked, so expect, less of those and more of the problem solving type. Um, Here is some advice for how you should use this course, or I guess use this lecture. Uh, there are two types of learning, right? There's passive learning and active learning. Just listening to a lecture or just like kind of mindlessly reading is passive absorption. But what we really want to prioritize is active learning. So active learning is when you like synthesize the information in your brain, or you do something to it so that you're thinking more about it than just listening. Like instead of just listening, you're moving it around and then making something of your own. So this office hour is really based off active learning, and it's only useful if you actively engage in the material. So that means that for every problem I put up, you like take the time to look at it, try to come up with an answer of your own, even if it's wrong. Like that's not the point. The point is that by thinking about it, you understand it more and you will learn. So yes, attempt to solve each problem and answer the Zoom poll. Do not sleep or like just sit along while everyone else is solving the problem and just be like, oh, I'll just listen to Suzuko explain it. Because, like, what happens a lot of the time is, like, people will explain something and you'll be like, yes, that makes sense. I understand it. And then in, like, a week after, if someone asks you to explain the same concept, you just can't do it because, like, you weren't actively learning, you were only passively learning. And it's kind of like a, a, a cheat way out to do it. So, like it says here, like using your brain is not easy, and especially this class is designed so that you're faced with harder problems or more confusing things. But it's only by doing these hard thinking bits, by being like, like I have to think about these problems. Like that pays off. It'll make you better at problem solving. It'll make you smarter, probably. And I think, like, even outside of USABO, it's a useful skill to just be able to sit down and, work with a problem. Okay, how to get good at problem solving or how to build intuition. As it says here, you have to practice and then practice, 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 practice. So, like, my goal with this class is to give you a place where it's kind of set up for you to practice problems, right? I guess just reiterating what I said on the active learning slide, like, please participate. It's genuinely what makes you better at solving problems. Just the more problems you solve, the more exposure you get, the better you will be. Oh, I forgot about this slide. One last thing, USABO studying strategy. Uh, so, it's like the end of this school year, it's May, and because of that, opens and semis might seem far off, because it's in like February, March, that's like solid 8 months or 10 months maybe. So that might seem like really far away, but really, the earlier you start studying, the better it is. Like, do not procrastinate. That is such a bad idea. Um, like even if you're not super like I know some people get super locked in the closer they get to USABO, but like every hour that you study now is 1 hour worth of knowledge that you don't need to cram later. So now is the best time to start studying. You should attend lectures. That includes like all the lectures. I mean, I appreciate it if you come to all of mine, but I think you should also go to all of Kevin's and all of the other TAs. And you should also read Campbell's on your own time. I really do think that like Campbell is the number one way to improve your knowledge. And that does involve like a lot of or some time investment on your part, like outside of lecture. But I do think it's really worth it. My office hours are to make sure that you have this knowledge and that you're able to apply it to actual problems. And then problem solving isn't something that you just like one day you wake up and you have it. Like these weekly practices, sometimes it may seem like this doesn't make any sense. Or today, at least, it may seem like it doesn't make any sense. But my hope is that, like, through weekly practice, it will slowly make more sense. And maybe it's not, maybe you don't notice it like each week. Like, it's very incremental. Maybe next week you're like, wow, I still feel like I don't understand everything. But my hope is that over weeks and weeks of this incremental progress, like by the end of the year, or when opens comes by, when semis comes by, you do look back at the problem solver that you are today and be like, wow, I actually have gotten a lot better and I didn't notice. Um, okay, it says reality check. I don't know how much of a reality check this is, but like, especially if your goal is to make top 50 or top 20, so these like highest levels of USABO, like you should start studying now. People are always like, oh yeah, I read Campbell super fast. I read it in like 2 weeks or whatever. And I think maybe this is true for some people, but I think for the vast majority of people, like this is just not realistic. Like my first read through of Campbell was in freshman year, and I started in like September and I finished in the like July or August of next year. And I don't know if I even finished. I might have skipped some of the biosystematics chapters, but like USABO and most things in life just take time. So the earlier you start, the, like the better it is. I am not a big believer in cramming. And yeah, like there is so much to learn in USABO. Don't procrastinate. Don't be like, oh, I can just read through it really fast. In my experience, the like it can seem like you're learning really fast, but like in a year you might not remember anything, and then like what's the point? Like now you need to read it all over again. So I think in the long run, it saves more time to start now and be really thorough and just go through the entire thing. Okay. You can contact me in these two ways. Through Discord. This is probably the way to get back my response fastest because I'm chronically online. My nickname is Suzuko in Baology Discord because that's my name. And you can DM me if you have any questions. I will say that, like, if you want a response fastest, like, the actual biology channel is very helpful for people to give you answers to any questions you might have. You can DM me, but I might not necessarily get back to you like super, super fast, but I will get back to you. Um, you can ask me about biology. You can also ask me about not biology if you want. Uh, yeah. And then the other option, if you don't have Discord, is to email me at suzuko.oshima@gmail.com. It's like my name and then a period and then my last name. And then I will try to get back to you there as well. And then I think this is the last slide before we start. So Baobucks, if you do not yet know what Baobucks are, they are a premier biology currency. Um, and how it works for our lecture is like for some problems, I'll say like this problem is worth Baobucks. And then for these problems, after you fill out the poll, after you put in your answer, like write up an explanation for your reasoning. And if I like your reasoning a lot, even if the answer is wrong, if I think your reasoning is good, then I will say you get a Baobuck and then you will get a Baobuck. Or multiple Baobucks, depending on how I'm feeling. So yes, keep that in mind. Okay. Now I'm going to check chat for the first time in the past 15 minutes. So, are there any questions so far? Oh yeah, I forgot to say, for the Balbucks, please DM me your answers. Do not uh don't send them in public chat because then like everyone can see them. Suzuko, can I be here? Okay, uh, let's. I'm gonna start here. What do bell books get you? They right now are not the most valuable. In the past, you could buy like pictures of pets or like homework, like past homeworks. I think probably what you can buy with bell books, like will get updated, but I low key like it is for the aura. Like you can just say like I have 5 billion bell books, and then everyone will be like, whoa, this guy's a baller. Hair routine, I wash it and then I dry it. Why did you skip biosys? Because it's boring. How did I become a camper in 10 minutes? You can't. Suzuko, what books did you read before you IBO'd? I read Campbell's, I read Vander's, I read Brooker's, although it wasn't very helpful, and I read like the angiosperm chapters of Raven. Oh, and I read like one chapter of Mbog. Suzuko, can I be your co-host? Sure. Wait, how do I do that? Okay, I'll figure it out later. Suzuko, will problems be aligned with what we're learning in class? I will try my best to align it with what we're doing in class, especially in the first few weeks, because I'm not really sure how much people in chat know yet. But as we get closer to semis, I might mix it up a bit more. Suzuko, okay, what do can I get a bow book if you like my preliminary paper? Um, maybe. Did you do good freshman year USABO? Like, r relatively, yes. I was top 125 in freshman year. Practice problems, past homework, DMS and Discord. For like DMing for general questions outside of class, DM me on Discord. For during this class for Balbugs, DM me like in Zoom. Larry's workout split. I don't know what that means. Yay, just abuse Cinepin. I'm not doing that. How exactly do you suggest we read Campbell? I am a very Well, I should preface everything by saying that like what worked for me won't necessarily work for everyone. So I do suggest that everyone take some time to try out different strategies, and then see what works best for you. So like I have always taken notes. I've always taken paper notes. I have like 5 notebooks filled with like just handwritten pen and paper notes. I know some people like to flashcard. I know some people like one of my IBO teammates, Bill's son, just like read through Campbell really fast, but he did it a bunch of times and then like that worked somehow. But I do think taking notes for me or just doing anything that like synthesizes that information is important. And it all goes back to like that idea of active learning. So I think when you just read Campbell by itself, it tends to be passive learning and it just kind of like goes in one ear out the other, or I guess like goes in your eyes and then like out some other orifice of your head. Um, But I do think notes are valuable, but I also do think you should like try different things and see what works. How much bow bucks can I lose? It depends on like what you do. Are the classes or the questions solved in this class from the previous year's test? The questions taken or in this class will be taken from a variety of sources. I'm trying to avoid the recent semifinals exams and opens exams because I think those are valuable to like mock or what mock means is like to take a mock test is to like you just run through it as if it was a real test and then you see how you performed on it and you're like, wow, I got like 20 points above the camp cutoff score for last year. That's encouraging. Or you say like, I don't know. I'm like 5 points off of top 50 and I want top 50, so I should study a bit more or whatever. Um, Blackmailed Sunnypun into 20,000 bucks. Brookers isn't helpful. I did not think Brookers was helpful. Maybe it is helpful. Which chapter of Mbok? I read the biotech chapter of Mbok. He tried to blackmail? Do I need full explanations? I think the fuller the explanation, the more likely it is that I will give you bucks for it. Can I get a buck for saying hi? Hi, I'm not giving you a buck though. Can I get a buck for a magic trick? Maybe. Do you only have to DM or like you can DM me? It's good for practice for every problem, but I will only be giving bucks to like the ones. Wait, there are 80 kids in this class. Okay, we'll figure it out. Only for the ones where I say like this one I'm giving bucks for. Did you balance studying USABO with school's ECs? Like, yes. I think you have to unless you are going to fail out of school. But I got all A's and I I mean, it worked out for me because like my main extracurricular I would say is science bowl, and like I just studied like studying for USABO overlapped really well with studying for science bowl, so it wasn't too much extra time. Which I already said this, but the biotech chapter is the chapter I read of MBOK. It was somewhat important. Are you the host or co-host? I'm the host. What were your grades looking like? What is the best way to practice problems too? Okay, this is going to take a really long time. I agree with Ajay that there is elite ball knowledge in campbells. There is so much. This is why I recommend that people like go pretty slow through campbells, especially if it's your like if you're just starting, like don't feel ashamed to go really slow through campbells. Just there's so many details in there that you might be like, there's just no way this is ever going to come up. But then it comes up and you're like, oh, darn it. So, yes, read Campbell's well. My strat for USABO right now is literally guess and pray. Okay, I hope that through taking biology and through doing problem solving, yay, this stops being your strat. Why is there so much? There's a Q&A function. Oh my goodness. When should we start doing USABO practice tests? Like after finishing Campbell's? Um, I think that's a good time to do some of them. Maybe the opens exams. I think hold on to the recent semifinals exams until you've read maybe a bit more. Like, I would suggest mocking these like a week or two before semis. Um, yeah. What do I do with my notes? Do I review them? I generally, or okay, what I have historically done, or like what I did a few years ago, is I would take my notes, right? Or I would read Campbell, and then I would take my notes, and then I would highlight my notes for the important words, and then I would write science bowl questions off my notes. And then I think that's why my Campbell's recall is so good, even though it's been like 3 years. But I don't think everyone has to do that. Okay, back to chat. Yo, I dropped a two. Okay, that's not true. My computer crashed 4 times in a row. Is it a good strat to focus only on a few things? Um, I would say no. I think USABO rewards generalization. Like, there are some people who are like, oh, I'm a genetic specialist or whatever. But like, even these people are still, or even the finalists who are like genetic specialists are still really good at like all the other parts of biology. Like, with USABO, you can probably like lose a few points on one section, but you can't lose all of the points on one section. So you do need to have a certain like high baseline level in every subject. Oh, can I give them? Okay. There are like way too many questions. So I'm just like not you can DM me later. We will do the questions. We need to teach the problems yearn for the kids. He reads these like Twitch chat. Okay, that's my cue to stop reading chat. Okay, so today we're going to start off like a pretty simple MCQ problem. So this is probably closer to what you might see in like AP Bio, for example, or a simple multiple choice quiz. Because it's like pretty simple. Well, okay, don't feel bad if you don't know it, because I think this is the problem that requires the most biology knowledge of the ones that we're going to do today. But uh, go back and then relaunch poll. Okay, I'll say like, I don't know, you have 2 minutes for this one. No, no. Okay. Ah, IDK, I made an educated guess. Sometimes the question a staff wrote will show up. This one is from 2009, so I really hope that like this is not by staff. What is happening? Someone asked who is Larry. Larry was the TA who taught this last year, but he's like going to grad school now, so he's too old. I don't think they mean Larry Z. Wait, I was low-key shocked that Larry is a sophomore, because like I feel like I played him in like bio competitions like 3 years ago. But maybe that was like not true. Okay, it is like it's been 2.5 minutes, so I'm just gonna like end poll and share results. So, it seemed like the majority of people put E, but there were like non-negligible proportions in the other four answers. And the correct answer is in fact E. So, how do I like there's like too many things on my screen. Okay. Um, yes. So the reason why the answer is E, or actually, let's like go through this another way. I need to figure out how to write. Turn on the pen. So the nice thing about this problem is because it is like very short. Like you don't have to like dig through a bunch of words to figure out what it's asking. So the most important thing here is like detritivore. How do I get this thing out of the way? Okay. Suddenly went on strike and stopped working. So, like, one thing you have to know is like, what is a detritivore? This is like a decomposer. So, if you like had a science class in like elementary or middle school and it was like, I don't know, like dung beetles are decomposers. That's what a detritivore is. And then like it's asking what would happen if these detritivores, these decomposers stopped working. So I guess what you have to know is like a decomposer is something that turns like dead dead stuff, like dead like I guess yeah, dead stuff or like dead organic matter into like not why does it do that? Not organic matter. So if you like block this, then the amount of dead organic matter builds up. So you can see like reading through the options, that immediately allows you to get rid of like this one, because it said they would decrease, but really like you're looking for an increase. It also allows you to get rid of this one because like you would expect that if it's building up here in the dead organic, then you would have like less of the inorganic. So you've already gotten these. And then um to choose between these two options, you kind of have to be uh like look at this part. So what decomposers help to do is by like helping to recycle the carbon from it being in like dead things that used to be alive, like plant matter and stuff. It makes it so that this carbon dioxide gets released and is able to enter the atmosphere. So if this gets blocked off, then you would expect that like the atmospheric reservoir of CO2, or I guess you kind of have to know like what this means. And this means CO2, right? Because the atmosphere is like air and stuff. And then like the gaseous form of carbon is carbon dioxide, which is a gas. So you would expect that if this gets fricked up, then the CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere would decrease because they're not able to go into the air. So that's why you can rule out B, and the correct answer is E. Okay, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Stop pestering me for bowel bugs. Uh, why is TS freshman biology? There are too many messages. Okay, carbon sequestration. Okay, now let's move on. Um, yeah. How do I stop using this pen? Okay, here we go. So now we have moved on from like that really simple multiple choice question to something that is maybe more similar to what you might see on like a semi style test or an IBO style test. This is actually from an IBO test. This is from 2018. It's from one of the theoretical exams. And I chose it because you don't actually need to know any biology, but I think it is a good sort of introduction to the format of IBO questions and kind of like maybe you'll get a sense for how you should begin to approach them. The format of IBO tests is what's known as multiple true false. So it's called MTF. And how it works is like they'll give you all of this random information, right? And then they'll give you four statements, and then you have to choose if they are true or false. And that's why it's called multiple true false, because there are multiple true false questions. Um, I guess I'll give people like 6 minutes for this. Or okay, let's say tentatively six, and then we'll see how people like are doing in like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Yeah. Okay. And then for this one, I will be offering Valbuck. So I lied earlier. Do not DM me. You should DM Ajay Sawant, who is a co-host. And Ajay will evaluate your reasoning and stuff to decide whether to give you Valbuck. So be nice to him. He's not co-host. I thought I made you co-host. Okay, I'm gonna try that again. Make co-host. Are you a co-host now? Huh. I am clicking it. Strange. How do I? Yes, I am in fact clicking his name. Joseph, why isn't it letting me make a J co-host? I did do this. Wait, I have clicked the three dots and then I've clicked make co-host like numerous times. This one does not have a fifth, so you can just answer NA or you can answer whatever the heck you want. It doesn't matter. Wait, how come it? Okay, I'm not really sure how to make a J co-host. Um, okay, you can just send it to me. Like, this is also fine. No, you should send it to me. Uh, do not send it to Joseph. He will die. Yeah, he just said he will die. Okay, you can't just send me your answers. You have to send like reasoning for it. Like, maybe you can't have to. Okay, sure. How do I unmake Larry a co-host? I will sacrifice myself. TS is not letting me make a J co-host. Who do you DM it to? DM it to me. I am Baology. This is me. Wait, it's not your fault. Okay, someone sent me, I'm not publicly calling out, but someone sent me as their reasoning, like, it just doesn't make sense. And I have to say, like, this is not reasoning. Like, your reasoning cannot be like, I didn't feel like it. Like, you should actually like think about why and like be able to explain to someone else why not. Okay. I need bell bucks and dopamine. Okay. Seems like how many people? Okay. We'll wait until this gets to like 60. Oh, to 60 or 70 people participate. You DM me. I am Suzuko. Actually, I am Baology. Today's questions are designed to not require biology knowledge because I assume there are some people here who like have not do not yet know actual biology. So today is problem solving day.
I
Think we execute him? Okay, we'll give people a bit more time. Although it is true that you have a 6.25% of getting all of them right if you guess, don't do that. Guessing is bad. Or actually, guessing is good when you don't know, but like, you should try. In each IBO theoretic exam per year, how many problems? There are, I believe, two tests that have 50 problems each. Suzuko, what was your best IBO placement? I only went once, and it was fourth. But this year, I'm going to go again and get first. Trust. Do you think I should just do like one test a week? I, okay, wait. I confess I don't know how much like biology you know. I don't think it's very useful to do like lots of tests before you have the content knowledge down. But if you do think you have the content knowledge down, then like, I don't know, one test a week is probably fine. Yep, first, can I get 1 million bell bucks? How come I wouldn't get 1 million bell bucks if I'm the one getting first? What is IBO? IBO is the International Biology Olympiad. It is like the USABO, but instead of the USA, it's like an I for international. Okay, let's go over answers. Sorry, I got distracted. We are at 71 or 72, whatever. Um, and then we can see like the hardest one for everyone was probably the first one. We had like the closest to 50-50. Um, then we had pretty unilateral agreement on the other ones. So, okay, I am going to check, but I'm like reasonably sure the answer is false, true, false, true. Actually, let me check. It's like on the presentation, but I can't see it because like I'm sharing my screen. Um, what's like the easiest way for me to check? Um, what the hell is happening? How do I get out of this thing? Ah, help. Okay, I low-key got stuck. I don't know how to get out of this, like, okay, give me a sec. Presenter view? What is happening? Confirm. Oh, that's why it wasn't letting me make a tree host. Okay, whatever. I, but okay, let's go through this. Sorry for the technical difficulties. How do I make this full screen again? Full screen, entire screen. Okay. Right. So I think how you should approach this problem, how do I get this thing to like go away? Zoom PMO. Okay. So what this question is asking is it is asking like or it has this tree, right? You can look at this tree and it shows how different languages are related and how they have, evolved over time. So I guess one thing that it is important to note about in IBO tests is that like these words over here, this big chunk of text is generally useful. So you should read it at some point. it is debatable like when you want to read it. Like maybe you want to read the statements first, but you should read it. So the important things to note here is that like there are two hypotheses. There's the steppe hypothesis, which says that these languages came from this region. Uh, and then there's the and then this hypothesis indicates that like it would happen like 6,000 years ago. Um, Alternatively, the other hypothesis is like this Anatolian hypothesis, which would indicate that agriculture or like this spread occurred like this amount of times. Or actually, like that this agricultural expansion started around this time, and then like it got to Western Europe by this time, and then it was done by this time. And then this is like this paragraph is like looking not very useful. It's like the caption. It like tells you how to interpret the graph, but like Loki, if you just look at the graph, like hopefully you know what's going on. But now let's go to each of the statements. So, uh, A is the result does not favor an Anatolian origin over a steppe origin, and this is, I believe it's false. Okay, I think it is false. And the reason why I think it's false is because uh like we can see here that the languages started diverging like around 7,000 years ago. And how we see that is like this branching starts between 6,000 and 7,000 years ago. And um wow, okay, I should actually really check if like I do not want to be misinforming people. Give me a sec. I am pretty sure it's FTTF though. Help. Ah. Sorry. Sorry for technical difficulties. Q45. Yeah, it is in fact FTFT, so I was right. Okay, back to locking in. Help. No, all my text is gone. Okay, whatever. Uh, yeah, so like this is in fact false. Or did I say that? Yeah. This is false, and like you see that the divergence begins like here. Actually, that's probably like not what it is. Well, okay, I think it's that you look at this and then it's like, wow, it diverges earlier. Um, and then if it was a step origin, then we would expect expansion to happen like only starting like 6,000 years ago because it says like the step hypothesis is that expansion began 6,000 years ago. So the fact that expansion was already beginning like before this time, at around like, you know, like 7,000 years indicates that the steppe hypothesis is false and the Anatolian is true. And the tricky thing about this statement is that it has like this word not here. And then like it is very important to note when it says not because that means you have to flip it in your head. Uh so yeah, like general rule of thumb, whenever it says like not or like unlikely like it does here, like just be extra careful that you don't like frick up and like do the right thinking but just put the wrong answer because there's like a not. So since we're saying that this is false, we're saying that the result does favor an Anatolian origin over a steppe origin. So that is our answer to part one. For B, the answer is true. And the reason why we're able to say this is because um we again see that like there is expansion like here. Ugh, this pen is like really thick, but how do I erase? There's like no good way to erase. That sucks. We see that the spread of like there is language expansion happening, but it is before like this date, which is the 5,000 years ago. And this date is when agricultural expansion is said to have reached Western Europe. So Western Europe is like, does Italy count as Western Europe? Well, at least it counts as like here, which is like Ireland, and here, which is like Germanic or Germany. Um, so if this statement or if it was likely that the spread of agriculture served as the sole driver, then we would expect that this uh this development would not have this expansion would not have happened before 5,000 years ago. Um, but again, there is an unlikely, so we have to say yes, it is unlikely that the spread of agriculture was the only driver because of all this expansion that happened before 5,000 years ago. I'm going to pause a bit because I think I might be currently confusing. Oops. Wow. The pyramid, I believe, is just uh, like, yeah, it says here, the area of each triangle represents the relative number of languages in each subfamily. So, yeah, this one is big, and that means that there's lots of languages, and this one is small, and that means there's not that many languages. Okay, now we go to part C, which is rate of language diversification in Balto-Slavic subfamily was higher than Germanic subfamily. So, we now know that we have to look at these ones. So that's this triangle and this triangle. And what you might immediately think is wow, the area of the triangle means the language is diversifying more because there's more sub-languages. But actually, that is not what this means. So it's asking for the rate of language diversification. It's very important to catch words like this. Oftentimes, um, they'll ask about a graph and they'll be like, wow, is this positive or negative? And you might think that it's just the value, but it might actually be the rate of change of that value. And this is one of those cases. So instead of looking at the actual whole area, what we actually have to look at is the slope of this graph. So if you think about, oh, I forgot that you can't erase things. Okay. If you look at what each of these triangles represents, if the area is the total number of languages and then the height is the amount of time it took to diversify into those languages, then the slope of this triangle or the angle that it makes represents how fast it diversified. So if you have a really fat triangle like this, it means that you got a big number of languages in a small number of time. So this means high rate of diversification. And then if you have a really skinny triangle like this, that's low rate. Does this make sense? Because you have a lot of time, but you only got a small number of languages. So what we want to do for part C is we want to compare these. And then if you look at the slopes for this triangle, for the Germanic triangle, and for the Balto-Slavic triangle, you will hopefully see that they are the same. So we can't really say that the rate of language diversification was higher in either of them. They were basically the same, and that's why this one is false. Um, I will say, so part D is drawing such trees is based on the assumption that languages probably do not affect each other when they come into contact. And this one I would say is the most wishy-washy of them. This one is some people gave me the reasoning that this one is oh, I said it's false or I said it's true because I don't know, it seems true. And I'm like, yeah, that's low-key true. But I think the idea for this is that, like, if languages did affect each other, for example, if they swap vocabulary, how we have some French words in the English vocabulary, then this tree would become super fricked up. Uh, so I can't really give super watertight reasoning for this one, but I think you can say that it is true. And that is why the answer is false, true, false, true. Okay, are there any questions? Why is everyone talking about bell books? I'm going to blow my nose. I am sick right now. It's not ideal. Thank you for the well wishes. Okay. I will try to explain D again. Like I said, it's probably the most wishy-washy one of them. Um, Let me see if I can think of a better reason for it. Um, well, no, I don't think you can say it's because they're not touching, because I don't think horizontal distance means anything on this tree. Uh, I don't know. I just feel like I guess this is kind of like intuition. Like I think this like tree model is a very simplified model um of like how languages work. And I think this simplified model relies on the fact that like languages do not affect each other. I guess like drawing a comparison to actual biology, this is kind of like when you build a phylogenetic tree and you assume that there is no like horizontal gene transfer that led to these similarities. And if you don't know what that is yet, don't worry, it's okay. Um, yeah, I do not think I can offer like the best reasoning for this. Wow, thanks, Joseph. Are we supposed to just know this graph type? That's a very good question. So, oftentimes on IBO tests or on USABO semifinals tests, you will be faced with a graph like this that you have never seen before and you will probably never see again. Like, who is out here like making these stupid triangle graphs? But the idea is that from the information that they give you, so in this case, it's this paragraph that like is background information. Uh, it's this like just from this background information paragraph and just by looking at the graph and kind of being like, oh, this reminds me of other phylogenetic trees I've seen. Like that is enough information for you to understand what the graph means. And I think this is, wait, there's like a paper reading class, right? In biology. Like this class and like these other classes, the whole point is that you are able to look at something that's unfamiliar and then still have kind of like a baseline understanding of it, or enough understanding where you're able to solve a problem based off of it. Maybe skill building. I Are these silly triangle graphs very common? Okay. I stand corrected. Joseph has informed me that these silly triangle graphs are in fact common. Uh, where do we find why is everyone so obsessed with bell bugs? Okay, let's see if we can do one problem really fast. Can you low-key explain how B works? Yes, I can. Maybe we will not have time for another problem. But for B, my reasoning was that, um, like, let me erase all. You see that there is language expansion like happening here, right? Kind of in this time span, which corresponds to time before 5,000 years ago. But if it was true that the spread of agriculture was the only driver, then you would assume that expansion would only uh happen like, wait, help. Okay, wait, I thought this made sense to me, but now I'm not sure if it's making sense to me. Oh, right, yeah. So, wait. Ah, why is this so hard? Okay, my reasoning was before that, like, you had this expansion happening here, but this is before expansion reached the edge of Western Europe. But, like, this kind of is sus to me now, because, like, these are all Western Europe, and, huh, help. This is why, like, explaining things is important. Do I have to know what there's still expansion after 5,000 years, is there? Oh, is it like the heights of this? Oh, this is true. Okay. Thank you, Rachel Lee. Um, yeah, that actually does make sense. So, like, I think what it wants is by the fact that these triangles have like different heights, you can assume that that must have some meaning, right? So the height must explain like the amount of time where language expansion was happening. And therefore, the fact that there's triangles like with height or where the triangles start more recently than 5,000 years ago, or 4,000 years ago, actually, which is when agriculture is said to have finished, then we can say that, like, oh, since this expansion happened after agriculture finished, then agriculture could not have been the only thing leading to language expansion. Um, Suzuko, it's because the Tocharians and Armenians are like from the steppe. What? Potato chip is gone. What is happening? Okay. Also, someone asked, like, is it important to know where Western Europe is? Um, I guess. Like, wait, it's okay. You don't need to apologize, Gavin. Like, I guess kind of the moral of this story is like sometimes people are like, should I no life USABO? And then my answer is like, no. And my reasons for this is that number one, learning more things makes you like a cooler, like more well-informed, uh, more interesting person who is like a better citizen of the world. So this is my top reason why I support learning different things that are not biology. But my number two, like game theory reason to study other things is that sometimes biology questions will randomly rely on knowledge from a different subject. So I guess in this case, like it's kind of like common ball knowledge, but like what is Western Europe? Or, but sometimes it's like there are connections that you can draw between biology and something random that you've seen before. Um, and you'll be like, wow, it's a connection. So this is why I suggest that you do not know life biology and you learn some other things too. I used this logic and taught quantum mechanics during new concepts, and the kids killed me. Okay, let me put the answers again. The answers are false, true, false, true. So question three is false. Okay, it is like low-key six. So we are not going to do another problem. Uh, yeah, there is this like really silly tree question that I wanted to show. One more, one more. Okay. Yeah, we did that last year. Um, hmm. Larry did this last year too. We should do less time between questions. Yeah. Wait, but like, I don't know. I don't want to like lock out people who are very slow. None of these questions are like doable in like 1 minute. Okay. Uh, yeah, I'm going to stop it here. Uh, sorry for, or actually, here is a Google link. I'm going to, uh, let me copy paste it into chat. Yes, this is the point of mudslips. So you may have noticed that this class was a little bit unhinged. Um, so you should say like, for example, if you think that we should have gone through some things faster, just let me know and I'll try to make it better next time. Uh, if you think, I don't know, like questions were too easy, too hard, too unrelated, too boring, whatever, let me know. Um, yeah. And then if you have questions, put them in here and I will answer them either at the beginning of next class or I'll like Joseph, am I allowed to post things on Canvas? Okay, I might post them on Canvas. The main subject tested on USABO other than bio is in order chem, math, physics, and geography. There is a lot of chem. I think having a solid chem background is useful in general in biology. Like, just because bio is applied chem, as they say. A little physics, true. Math, true. I mean, I do think that just like the more background you have in science in general, the more easily you're able to like apply concepts and work and understand new concepts. And you also just gain like more problem solving ability in general. So I wouldn't like limit yourself to studying only like chem, math, physics, geography, like you say, just because like that is like I wouldn't assume that those are the only things that are useful. Did you have a lot of Bell books when you were a student? Did not take this class. So I did not have any Bell. Actually, I did get Bell books. I think it's because I played Biology Jeopardy one time, like as a guest team, and then I got some Bell books. These slides will be posted on Canvas, yes, and the recording will also be posted on Canvas. But I'm gonna stop the recording. Okay, goodbye everyone. Thank you for coming to class. I'll keep answering questions. Bye bye.